Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Stand By Me. But before I get into this movie review, please do not forget to subscribe if you enjoy watching my reviews or episode reviews, and give this or any video of mine a like or a share. That would be absolutely amazing and very much appreciated. So, Stand By Me was released on August 22nd, 1986. Its director was Rob Reiner, or Ria, or Reiner, as I hope you say his name. It was made on a budget of 8 million US dollars and made 52.3 million US dollars. This movie is also based on a book by Stephen King called The Body. There is a reason why they didn't call this movie The Body, which I'll get into the bonus facts at the end of this video. The cast in this movie consists of Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connor, Kiefer Sutherland, plus many, many others. So in this movie, we follow four boys in the form of Gordy, Chris, Teddy, Vern, who live in Castle Rock, Oregon in 1959, where they go on this big hike to go and find this dead body of a missing boy. So, what do I honestly think about this movie? I have to be honest with you straight from the start. This is probably the first time I've watched this movie ever. Or I've watched the first half an hour or 40 minutes of this movie, but I never really got into depth. So this was a brand new one for me. And yes, I do know this is quite a popular film as well. But to watch this from start to finish, this was a first experience for me. And I have to be honest with you, I was very, very pleasantly entertained. And I will get into those reasons of why I was entertained by this movie right about now. So, Stand By Me movie review. Now, I have to be honest with you, I honestly think this is the first time I've ever seen this movie. And yes, I know it's a very, very popular movie, but again, it's not really a genre I was really, really into. And today, I would honestly say this is the first time I've seen this movie, and I was not disappointed in any way, shape, or form. Now, the main premise of this story is essentially about four kids just going on a big hike to go and find a dead body. And yes, okay, that is quite a dark storyline, and it is. There is a dark storyline here, and there's dark tones in this movie as well. But by the end of the movie, I was actually going, okay, I actually really, really enjoyed this movie. I really, really did. And there are so many reasons why I enjoyed this movie, whether it's performances or just the way the story was told. It's just absolutely fantastic in every single way. Each character puts in their own kind of element into this movie, which is just amazing. I love this so, so much. Every single one of the main characters in here has a kind of issue or a family issue in some way, which you see and they explain and they tell you in this movie. And it's how each and every single one of these characters are trying to deal with this situation, but knowing that they've got their friends there to basically back them up. They are, yes, okay, there is some kind of the kid kind of rivalry and banter or quite extreme banter in certain places, but essentially the main backstory of this is that every single one of these main characters has each other's back. They are there for each other when they need to. When things start to go wrong, they are there for each other. And I absolutely loved what they did here. I really, really do. And there's just so it's not an overly complicated movie in any way, shape, or form. It's very easy to understand. It's just more about what they're showing you and how they're showing you it. Because essentially, these kids are going from young children into teenage life. So things are starting to change for them. The hormones are starting to change. You're starting to see the pressures and the effects of everything that's going on in their personal life coming out. And this is their way to this movie almost is their way to get their problems out in front of people that they trust so they can basically help each other. They also, you get to see a lot of bonding in this movie. Yes, there is some quite big banter in between them and it's quite brutal in certain places, especially for the ages of these characters, or even real life ages. They really gave them some adult material to try and work with, and I think they pulled it off really, really well. And some of the things that these kids were doing were some of the things that I used to do when I was a kid as well, whether it was smoking when I shouldn't have been, or just the way I speak to somebody, or the way I talk about somebody. It kind of resonates very, very strongly with me about how I used to grow up away from my parents, and they could possibly be watching this video, but they probably know this anyway. I was never a saint as such. I always, they thought I was a saint, people thought I was a saint, but there was always a side to me which was always a bit naughty. If I was to relate to anybody in this movie, it would be Vern. And as simple as it is, yes, he's got that banterish kind of thing, but there's also that kind of scared, worried kind of feeling you get. And I was kind of like that as well when I was younger, but there was another side of me that kind of was a little bit more naughty. And that, I generally liked every single performance in there. Especially Gordy's character in here. Obviously, he gets affected quite bad by something that happens in his life. I'm not going to give too much away in case you haven't seen it. And those effects really, really start to come out. There's family issues going on there. I like what they did. Okay, the subject matter in this movie is the majority of this is actually quite dark, I have to admit, for children which were around the ages of 12, 13, 14. So the subject matter is quite dark, but I believe they pull this off absolutely fantastic. Even Chris in this, he is the leader kind of this gang, and yet he's a teenager or going into that kind of scenario, but he is the father figure in this gang, and very much is in control. He's almost like the hard man, and I love what they did here. River Phoenix was absolutely fantastic in this. The way he pulled this off, that father figure he had, but yet he still had that banterish kind of brutal side to him. But again, and I keep saying this, it's that fact of me have all got each other's back. Even Teddy in here, he again comes from a life which is quite brutal and aggressive, and it's his way of and and these things that are happening in each and every one of those child's lives is affecting them, and it's in this movie you get to see them vent their problems and basically try and help each other through this. And I just think it's absolutely fantastic what they did with this, how they did it visually. There's not a huge amount visually in this. They're essentially just going for a hike through this, but it's not about the visuals in this. It's about the characters, the four main characters in here. This is solely what this movie is about, and those four elements or four characters all deliver or all give their own element in this movie, which just makes this an absolutely fantastic watch in every single way. The story is not complicated in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to give too much away because I know there'll probably be some people on this channel that hasn't seen this movie, and I do, and I have to be honest with you, I do 100% honestly say, if you haven't seen this movie, one night, just sit down, watch this movie. It's an hour and 30 minutes long. It's not boring in any way, shape, or form. You do get an emotional attachment to a lot of these characters, and you also find some sort of familiarity to at least one of the characters in this movie. I'm sure everybody can, at a certain point, find something which is very familiar to their own kind of personality and how you deal with stuff. I think they pulled this off really, really well. It's an absolutely fantastic movie, and if I was to give this a rating out of 10, it would be a strong 10 out of 10. For the first time I've ever seen this movie, it really, really not hit me hard, it's full of emotion. It's full of all sorts of different emotion in this, but the way it made me feel is the reason why I enjoyed it, because I can actually relate to it to a certain point. Not in all respects in this movie, but in certain respects I can actually relate to it, which just actually makes this just even more of an entertaining watch for me. And I'll just touch on another character in here, Kiefer Sutherland's character in here. He plays Ace. He is like a villain in this or a bully in this, and I have to be honest with you, he is generally quite scary in this movie. He has got definitely a screw loose in here, and even with the small amount of screen time he had on this, every time he was on screen, he was just absolutely fantastic. And that's another reason why I enjoy Kiefer Sutherland as an actor. But this was a suggestion by one of my subscribers. I want to say thank you for suggesting it. It was absolutely fantastic watch. Really, really enjoyed it, and I will quite happily take any more suggestions from anybody about any movies that they want me to react to, and it doesn't make any difference what genre it is. So on that note, please stay tuned for the 5 bonus facts to do with Stand By Me, which are coming up any second now. Okay, 5 bonus facts to do with Stand By Me. Now, Jerry O'Connell was frightened of Kiefer Sutherland while filming this movie because Kiefer Sutherland liked to stay in character off camera. And to be honest with you, I can 100% completely get that as well, because Kiefer Sutherland's performance as a bully in here is actually quite terrifying, and him to stay in character off camera, yeah, I get it. I'd be exactly the same. To be fair, a kid my age to being presented with somebody like that, yeah, I'd be shitting my pants. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So, fact number 2, the director came up with the title of this movie because Columbia Pictures felt that the title The Body wasn't suited for what they were trying to do. So in other words, for like kind of a cinema release and the kind of content, they just didn't find it suited, and there was a load of other variety of reasons why they decided to change the name. Fact number 3, Stephen King was actually impressed with this movie and actually walked out for 15 minutes after the first finished product was actually shown to him. He also said that this is the first time that one of his stories has successfully been put on film, and he actually applauded the director for this as well, because that is how much he was actually impressed by the movie making or the storytelling in this movie. Fact number 4, the town of Castle Rock was actually Brownsville, Oregon. And then fact number 5, in an interview with Stephen King, the scene with the leeches in this movie actually happened to Stephen King in real life. Yeah, I would never want that to happen to me, ever. And I would have exactly the same reaction. There are quite a lot of other facts about this movie. Is the fact that the kids in the hotel room actually got up to quite a lot of mischief as well. So we got this actually a bonus fact. So here we go. In other words, like chucking all the furniture into the pool, rigging up the games, and they did get quite a lot of up to a lot of mischief, apparently. I think there was another fact that I read that River Phoenix actually, if he didn't have his family, he would have had to have therapy after doing this role, because it actually did affect him quite a lot, and realized exactly how familiar he was to this character as well. So there's another fact, and then there was loads and loads more. I could have chose loads. I could have done a whole video just on facts of this movie. But as a whole, like I said in the movie review, absolutely fantastic filmmaking. I love what they did here. It's a very enjoyable watch, and if you haven't seen it, I do recommend this a lot. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to actually watch this movie. So on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. Hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care, and goodbye.